Welcome to the Panel Zone.
Alright, 13, we ask you.
Where are we? You're in the Panel Zone.
Are you sure you are not a superhero or extremely gifted person?
Welcome to the Panel Zone.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Panel Zone. I am Zachary More Than Meets the Eye Cobb,
I am Ari, one shall stand, one shall fall Levinson.
and we have a special guest with us today.
I am Ian till all are one Shelton.
I like that. So today we are going to be talking about the Image Comics Transformers book. But before we get into it, any books that you guys want to give a recommendation to?
I admit I haven't been very outward with reading other series. I've sort of stuck to this. So I know we're talking about it, but I'm going to recommend the Image Comics because it is currently the book that I am the most into right now. As of today, issue 20 had released, and it's really cool. The art's awesome. The story's great. There are iterations of the characters that are similar yet different. And I may have just said all this before, but I just really like the Image Transformers run. The recent issue was good. I recommend you read it. You can read it via the volumes, which volume 2 is released, and volume 3 releases May 25th, which means you could read up to issue 18 as of May 25th. And that's a really good way to get caught up because, for instance, finding issue 1 is a pain in the ass. It was even a pain in the ass when I got into it, and I was into it as issue 8 released. But it's definitely a pain to get the earlier issues. So I recommend you get the volumes. That's the best way to catch up. And I know that volume 4 is releasing sometime in November.
Yeah, the earlier issues being such a pain to track down, I think that that in and of itself should stand as a testament to just how iconic and well beloved that this series has become over the years.
Absolutely.
Not years.
The months that have been out so far.
It's almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my personal reading recommendation is the Sonic the Hedgehog DC Comics crossover that has been out for a while. So far, as of recording, there has only been one issue out, but it is wonderful. It is so good. The artwork by Adam Bryce Thomas is phenomenal.
I've seen some panels from the Flash and
the Sonic rays.
panel.
Yes, it's so good. It's so good.
Also, Sonic's canonically faster than Flash.
I love it.
Well, I mean, they don't call him the fastest thing alive for nothing.
He is
Speed Force ain't got nothing on this hedgehog.
Perfected.
And keep in mind that Flash is only referred to as the fastest man alive.
And even then,
he is but a man.
And even then, in universe, there are other Flashes that are faster than Barry Allen. So so it's just I love this book so far.
No diff Sonic wins.
No, better yet, I'm not a man, not yet a hedgehog. Wait, or hang on, or better yet, this is where I watch my parents die, Sonic.
Whoa, that's a bummer, dude.
Way past uncool.
Anyway, I think we should move
They
on
were
to...
too slow.
All right, I think
crazy.
I think we should start moving on to talking about the book.
So, Image Comics has now released a brand new Transformers run after the legendary long run by IDW. It is a joint with Skybound Comics into this new universe that is crossing over with Transformers and G.I. Joe.
And Robert Kirkman's new original series, Void Rivals.
It has been fantastic. Now, for me personally, I have never really read any other Transformers media outside of a prequel comic of the second Transformers movie that it came out at that time.
And I personally have not read the entire idea. I've read bits and pieces of it because sometimes comic books would come with figures. Whenever I did go to comic book stores, which was less frequent when I was a kid, I would occasionally pick up some of the Transformers books because they're Transformers stuff and they're cool. But this Images run is the first one I've actively been tracking each and every issue.
Yeah, and honestly, I would not have been as into the Skybound comics as I am now if it hadn't been for Mr. One Shall Stand, One Shall Fall getting me into the series.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Type shit.
As the cool kids say these days. Say, on God, this book go crazy.
Yeah, on God, this book finna go crazy.
This book about to go on the offensive.
Anyways, up in the original, like early in the run of the Image run, Daniel Warren Johnson was not only the writer but also the penciler and the general illustrator of the entire book. He pretty much did the thing single-handedly for, I forgot when it switched, but definitely like the first few early issues, he was sort of did everything. They added more artists in as the book progressed because it was a lot to ask one guy to do everything. But you can clear, even as early as that, even though he had a bigger workload than he does now, you can clear that he's putting his heart into this story, into the art. He has very good standards, and the story in and of itself is a more dark and mature. I'm not sure if I would say this was a story for young kids like some of the other TV shows or even some other media.
No,
I would say this
thing is brutal.
This thing could be for teenagers, honestly. That's what I get.
I was discussing this.
Actually, funny enough, on the book it's rated T for teen. So
bazinga. I was gonna say before we started recording, I was telling Ari that the violence in this series is honestly so brutal that it could even give Transformers Prime a run for its money.
I would say it's probably more brutal. Although IDW also had gruesome scenes like this as well, so I would say it's as gruesome as IDW, because IDW there's literally been torture in there, torture in those books, just like in this series. So I'd say the comics have always been a bit more gritty and gruesome, and this can be even as early as the Marvel comics, because there are some pretty gruesome Marvel comics, especially from the brief run of the G2 comics, where it was trying to be edgy for the sake of being edgy, because it is the 90s.
Of course.
Yeah, not your grandfather's Transformers.
It's the 90s where spectacle beats storytelling. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I was introduced to this book with Ari as well. As you can tell, I really like this series. If I haven't seen it enough. He's a big fan of it. I don't know if it was subtle enough. This book has been wonderful. From an outsider's perspective of Transformers, I really, really enjoy this new take of the run that can stand on his own, but could also potentially tie into other stories as well. With how many like homages and references there are to other media. Particularly, there was a scene in the first big battle of the arc, and there was a reference to the Transform. You Got the Touch song from the 80s movie, and like it didn't even have the lyrics to it. It was just like a little like text in the like speed line in the background that says, "You know the song." I love little touches like that. It's not in your face, but it's so respectful of it.
It's made for the fans, but it's also made for new readers.
Yes, I really, really love that. Plus the new stuff they add into it, the character touches with Optimus being much more of a, I guess not necessarily a humanitarian in the sense, but more so like
an attempted, I would not pacifist, but achieve this through as little violence as possible. Fight only when you need to.
Yeah, exactly. Using violence as a last resort.
Right.
Because it's clear that he wants diplomacy to work, but it's not.
Not going to. Yeah. I really, really like the way that he starts to see this from the perspective of humans, out like what life means to them, and that what makes him ultimately want to help them out. Because at first it was more so like he was just trying to like find everybody and like just.
It was clear that he only cared about getting everyone together and beating the Decepticons, but it evolved more into we're friends with the humans. These creatures are sent. Freedom is the right of all sentient beings. This is sort of where that phrase of his is sort of coming into effect in real time. And he, especially the sacrifice of, was it Sparkplug Witwicky?
Yeah, Sparkplug.
Yes.
Sparkplug Witwicky, Spike's father, and if you know the G1 cartoon, Spike and Sparkplug are the two first humans that the Autobots really ever acquaint themselves with, and they are prevalent, although different to a very satisfying degree, in this book. And Sparkplug actually sacrifices his life to save Optimus Prime, and that really sort of sets in stone, yeah, I'm about to lock in. We're going to protect not just our comrades, but the humans too.
Okay,
Some have already become comrades, like Carly and Spike.
Out of curiosity, shouldn't we have given a spoiler warning before we started?
If you're listening to a podcast about the series, I would assume by that point you have read it.
Be well informed
enough.
about it.
And I'll also I also like about Optimus Prime. I love Optimus Prime in all continuities. He's pretty awesome. But I like that he's not just I've always been this good. It's highly indicated, even though we haven't had an official flashback yet as of this point in the story, that he had violent tendencies that he is trying to overcome, and that he is trying to evolve and resort to violence less, but he used to be a violent individual.
No, exactly, and that was even confirmed in this most recent issue where he confirmed that he was starting to go back on those anger-driven, violent tendencies that he had during the war on Cybertron. And due to recent events, those were starting to come back to haunt him as he fought the Decepticons, or started fighting the Decepticons here on Earth.
And I forgot what issue it was. It was like within the last 4 issues, he ended up killing the Decepticon scientist Shockwave.
That was issue 12.
That was issue 12? Okay. In a sort of violent rage because of the torture he inflicted upon Jazz, Cliffjumper, and Ultra Magnus.
Yeah.
And the fact he was going to kill Earth's entire ocean. Mm-hmm. So he sort of lost his shit and gouged his eye out. Again, this book is hard as fuck.
Just getting limbs ripped off from other...
ripping his own arm off to use as a club.
Is metal. Optimus Prime using Megatron's arm as his own is something I didn't know I ever wanted to see.
Dude, it's so cool.
But it's so cool.
It makes me really want a toy with that incorporated, like a figure from the comic books. Because it's like the most iconic panel of the book is when he says we're going on the offensive with Megatron's arm.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest, the closest thing that we've gotten to that is an upgrade kit for SS-86 Optimus, where it gives him additional parts for a jetpack, and to recreate that look from the Skybound comics, you can replace his right arm with an arm just like that of Megatron's, and it's fully compatible with his vehicle mode.
Yeah, I've seen that. I'm saying it'd be really nice if we got an official figure.
No,
I think it's gotten popular enough that it could so warrant it. And I'll say that there is a fan theory going around that Optimus's violent tendencies are being more likely, not that they're not entirely his own, but that they are more prone to coming back because Megatron's arm is somehow corrupting him. It's not been confirmed in the book. I believe it has not been confirmed, but that is a fan theory going around, and I think there is some merit to it. But and me, Zach, and Ian are just going to sort of have to wait and see if that theory is actually confirmed or not.
You know, I'm going to be completely honest. I do believe that Megatron's arm being attached to Optimus is definitely responsible for some of those. But what I'm curious of is, since we know at the end of issue 20 that Megatron is going to be coming for Optimus to get his fusion cannon back, is Optimus still going to be having those violent tendencies that he's had previously, or are those going to...
Well, that is what's going to make or break if these violent tendencies of his are resurfacing because of the arm, or if it's because of him losing control of his temper and committing war crimes. Because what he did to Shockwave was a war crime. But the Decepticons also actively do war crimes, but the Autobots have tended to not do that.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm judging this by human Geneva Convention standards. Obviously, there are probably different conduct, and this could all is fair in love and war sort of deal in the Transformers universe. But
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 I
they
mean,
just
anything is possible with how they're building up things so far. Like anything could happen.
I agree with that, and I'm looking forward to it. I wish that we got issues more frequently, but at the same time,
I'd rather them take their time.
I take
and
their
cook.
time and cook like they do in these. I love the story so much, so there's always that immature little note in my brain's like, give me more, give me more.
I need more of this. I need more. Like a kid in a candy store is like, there's so much cool things there. But like, there's so much to like put down, you know. But yeah, I've really been enjoying this, and I'm really excited to see what's coming forward with this storyline that they're building up with. How do we feel about the inclusion of G.I. Joe into it?
First of all, I haven't read the Energon Universe G.I. Joe line, nor do I really ever intend to.
Neither have I.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's neat, but I could live with or without it. I really am more indifferent. I have more opinions towards Void Rivals, even though I'm only like an issue and a half to 2 issues in. Void Rivals seems inherently pretty neat. And I am excited for when we get some Transformers characters that are mainstays in Void Rivals are characters like Hot Rod, Springer, and such, and the Quintessons, who are some villains from Transformers that have been present throughout G1 and a couple of later shows. But
Yeah.
and although it's very clear that the Quintessons, unlike the G1 cartoon, are not the creators of the Transformers as of what we know. Again, they never really clarified if they're going with the Primus origin from the Marvel Comics and the Aligned continuity, or if they're going with the G1 continuity of the Quintessons being their creators and slavers. We don't know yet. We don't even know that much about Megatron's backstory outside of him gaining the ability to power up with his gun mode via the Quintessons, basically making a sport of him dying over and over and over.
Yeah.
I would really like to see if they would include characters from Beast Wars into the story.
I don't think that that's a bad idea, but I definitely want them to flesh out to the point where we have a bunch of the G1 characters. Like, we don't even know if the Dinobots are coming to effect, but I really would love to see Daniel Warren Johnson and how he handles the Dinobots, especially Grimlock, because Grimlock is a very different character in the Marvel Comics than he is in the G1 cartoon, and really any instance we've got of him in shows, because I would argue he's almost like a Starscream to Optimus, except less of a coward. Because he's overthrown Optimus and became the king of the Autobots. I have a figure of him. He has a crown. That's what that is a reference to.
Well, yeah, of course. As he said in the 86 movie, me Grimlock no bozo, me king!
Yes, and he... Clearly, that doesn't work out for him, and Optimus takes back control because Grimlock doesn't know how to lead intelligently.
Yeah, and not only that, but there was also an episode in G1 where Megatron convinced Grimlock that since he's the strongest amongst all the Autobots, he should be the one to lead. Similar to how Megatron is the strongest Decepticon, so he leads. Grimlock believes Megatron and tries to attack Optimus. However, something occurs and Optimus puts his life on the line to make sure Grimlock is safe. And once Grimlock notices this, he decides to let Optimus be and go after Megatron, since he realized that all that Megatron cared about was himself.
Considering Wheeljack is in charge of repairs and building bots, I highly...
Quintessential person on the team.
Yeah, he is. Like, I think Ratchet is already... Is Ratchet dead?
Yeah, Ratchet's dead.
Yeah, Ratchet, unfortunately, their field medic's dead, so Wheeljack is the inventor / medic at this point in the story. But I'm curious if he's going to do what he did in the G1 cartoon, which is he built the Dinobots. Or if they're already... Again, the Ark is a very good plot device because they can just continue to introduce Autobots, because clearly in previous panels we didn't see all the Autobots they have to offer. They just say there are a lot of their brothers that they have not reactivated. So they can continue to use that as a plot device to introduce new characters. And I don't think it's a bad plot device at all.
Especially considering that now with issue 20, we have official confirmation that the aerial bots were on board the Ark.
Yeah, and we had no idea about it up until I think this issue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So clearly, so I hope either he builds them or they are already there, because the Dinobots are sort of the commandos, the hardened commandos of the Autobots, where they kick ass and ask questions later, sort of thing. And
More brutish.
they're more. They've always been that way, but they're also very close with each other.
Right.
It reminds me of the Bad Batch
Yeah, no, very much so.
from Star Wars.
No, yeah. The only difference, though, is that with the Bad Batch, each of them have different skills that pertain to.
Technically, it's the same. It's just their rules aren't always defined, but technically, they do have specific rules.
No, yeah, I know that, but I mean, like with the Dinobots in particular, from what I understand, their main contribution to the Autobots is that they're hella strong.
Yeah.
So, yeah. No, yeah, I could definitely see the similarities to the Bad Batch, but yeah, I definitely think that...
It serves as an offensive strike force of specialized people.
No, yeah, the Dinobots
Or
are
robots
pretty
in this case.
Yeah, the Dinobots are pretty much like the wrecking ball of the Autobots. They can use that to attack their enemies, but if possible, that wrecking ball could always swing back and hit them just as hard.
There's also the existence of the Wreckers, another equally renegade organization of Autobots that serve as a strike force. But again, with no one who's really a Wrecker at this point, or at least one of the more known Wreckers like Roadbuster, Springer.
Well, Springer's already in Void Rivals.
Yes, but we don't know if he's actually part of the Wreckers or if he's At least because I haven't read Void Rivals, I don't know as much about Springer at this point. I do got to get around to catching up with Void Rivals, but I don't know enough about him right now to make any sort of presumptions. I could be completely wrong, but I haven't heard anything about him being part of the Wreckers.
No, yeah, that's true. And this is going to be kind of a stretch, but the closest other thing we have to Wreckers being in this comic would have to be Wheeljack, since he was a Wrecker in Transformers Prime. But that was
clearly he's more like his G1 counterpart.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
This story.
Yeah, that's why I said it was a stretch.
Yeah. Either way, there's a lot that can be explored upon. I look forward to it. I look forward to the introduction of more characters. I look forward to the big fight that issue 20 is clearly setting
building up for.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm praying for Carly because that girl's been going through so much. I feel so bad for her.
I think Ultra Magnus and her really need a fucking break.
You know?
Let them rest already.
Let them chill.
No, yeah. It's funny that you mentioned Ultra Magnus specifically because Ultra Magnus is one of my favorite Autobots of all time, and pretty much every single iteration of him that I've seen, he's always been like this warrior who
nonsense sort of commander who serves Optimus faithfully, with the exception of 2001 Robots in Disguise, where they are brothers and he actually sort of has a rivalry and a borderline hatred towards Optimus. But that is the one exception. In the comic, he's sort of like his other instances, except that he was tortured by Shockwave. And when he was repaired, he went in prepared to fight, and he saw Shockwave, and he just bolted. This big-ass, tough-looking dude said, "Fuck this shit, I'm out."
Yeah, and it's honestly even more devastating because even in issue 18, after Shockwave is already dead, Ultra Magnus still gets PTSD, all because a light shines on him that reminds him of Shockwave's eye. So yeah, even though Shockwave is gone in this series,
it's clear that this is something he's going to be struggling with for the foreseeable future of the story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's honestly a very welcome reinterpretation of the character. Like it's definitely taking homage from his original G1 roots, but putting a spin on it in a way that not only makes the character feel fresh, but also makes sense in terms of
the narrative.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
the character
Daniel Warren Johnson doing Daniel Warren Johnson things.
I also want to shout out Jorge
Corona and Mike Spicer as well for contributing to this book as well. Thank you guys so much for making this, because it is truly my favorite comic book series of all time. It's the only comic book that I have every issue of the actual individual comic books and will continue to collect until the series ends. I love it. Thank you so much for making it.
Yes, thank you. Now, and honestly, like getting to talk about comic book stuff with you guys, because I also want to thank this run specifically because, like, generally, I'm more so just outside discussions of Marvel stuff with Ian, and not necessarily much so with Ari. So I like having this comic that's more so a way of, like, we all know what's going on.
You talk to Ian about Marvel. You talk to me about Image. Who is it that's bringing us together? It's Image Comics. I win. Bazinga. Checkmate.
Actually, it was the Marvel
Nerd glasses manifest on my face.
Imaginary gap just appears.
I've had to put up
That's the
with
way
this
the cookie crumble.
Okay.
I've had to put up with this for several years. Somebody please help me.
Yeah.
I'm a
What are you
menace and a
talking about? You're
danger.
literal human of a joke book. Like, if a joke book was
Bro's
a human,
dad joke book.
you literally. Oh my gosh! Like, this man.
Robots
just
in
spouts
disguise, more like puns in disguise. All right. I think
More jokes than meets the eye.
I think I've covered this book to my satisfaction. Everything I've said, I'd probably just be repeating myself if I talked more. Basically, the series is ongoing, and I recommend you pick it up. Don't listen to this. We should have put this. Maybe we should put this warning at the beginning. But also, if you're listening to our show, we're going to assume that you've read the book and are just wanting to hear people talk.
General
about it.
discussion. This is just this show is just generally just going to be about us geeking about the cool comic stuff that we like.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was why I asked at the beginning if we should have put a spoiler disclaimer before. This.
It's fine. I'll edit it in. It's fine. I'm good. They won't know.
Either way, I talked about it. Megatron's getting ready for a big fight. That's what happened issue 20. That was released today. Be sure to go to your local comic book store. We record here locally in Hilliard, Ohio at Pack Rat Comics. Please support them because if they don't get money, they can't sell us books. And we know you're here for the books.
The money speaks, people. Speak with your money.
Support artists.
Yes. Thank you so much for listening. If you guys liked what you heard, please sure to subscribe, share the show around, give this a like. And if you're listening to this on any other podcast platforms, Spotify or Apple, please give it 5 stars so we can boost in the old algorithm for other fellow comic book nerds to enjoy. Thank you so much, Ian, for joining us. And until next time, this has been The Panel Zone.
Yeah.